guys, today I'm gonna review Onyx and Ivory by Mindee Arnett. I received an arc of this through Edelweiss in exchange for an honest review, and this book comes out May 15th. Onyx and Ivory is a YA fantasy, and I don't think there's anything official yet, but I have read rumors that this is the first book in a duology. This is one of those books where I could very well imagine that the sequel is from a different character's point of view, things like that. So the kind of storyline of the characters we follow in this one is definitely finished in a way, but there's so many more questions about the world and the politics in it, so it definitely makes sense that there is gonna be a sequel, but I still think it's one where it doesn't have like a painful ending. So this is told from a dual point of view. The first point of view is Kate, and I believe she's actually 19 years old, which I find surprising for a YA protagonist, but very pleasantly surprising. Her father tried to assassinate the king, I think 3 years ago, and so she kind of ended up being known as a traitor as well. So she fled the town that she was living in and has built up a new life, and she is actually a wilder, which means that she has magical abilities, so she can kind of talk to animals in a way. She can kind of feel their feelings, and that is actually magic that is forbidden in this world that she lives in, so she has to keep it hidden. And there's like ways for other mages, because there's like different kinds of mages, and some of them, or most of them, are, you know, not illegal, but there are ways for them to kind of find out when she's using her magic, to kind of sense it. So she's like really careful with using it. And then we follow Prince Corwin, who is the second son of the king. So he's not officially in line to be the next king, but you know, there's like intrigue and political stuff happening. And so you could already guess that these two characters had some sort of history, as Kate's father was a very close friend to the king before betraying him. So we kind of find out about their backstory, we kind of find their stories weaving together throughout this novel. Just slowly, lots of things about their past kind of come out, also about Kate and her father, because there's lots of mystery surrounding this traitorous act. And that's kind of the very basic synopsis that you have to know. So I personally thought that Onyx and Ivory was really enjoyable. It was a little bit slow at parts, and it did fall into some of the old YA fantasy cliches, but overall I thought that it also offered a couple of very different and unique aspects, and I just had a good time while reading it. The characters were for sure my favorite part about this novel. I think both Kate and Corwin are great protagonists. Corwin has some really interesting character development that I really enjoyed, and this was kind of used in a way to talk about, you know, growing up with certain things that are always set in the world that you live in or in the family that you live in, and kind of unlearning these things or kind of seeing everything from a new perspective. And I really enjoyed that. I thought there was a layer to his whole storyline that was very interesting. I also thought Kate was a great protagonist, and overall I just thought that having both of these points of views was very beneficial for the storyline. Like, sometimes you have dual point of view and you're not quite sure why. With this one it made a lot of sense. I think seeing both of these perspectives was very interesting, and they do have a lot of things in common, but they also differ a lot on, you know, the way they live, but also their opinions. And, you know, obviously with Kate being a wilder, and Corwin kind of growing up with the thought that wilders are evil, that was very interesting to see. So I thought this was one of those dual point of views where you were like, yes, I, you know, encourage this happening. And I also thought that the point of views were very easy to distinguish. So I never had this thought of, wait, which protagonist am I reading from? Which tends to happen for me in, you know, dual or multiple POV stories. So I really appreciated that. I also loved all of the side characters. I think that's also why I came up with the idea, or kind of thought of the idea, that it would be really great to see the sequel from different point of views, because there's so many great side characters and I would just absolutely love to read from their perspectives. And I just think, like, both in Kate and in Corwin's kind of storyline, they are just surrounded by friends that are just absolutely amazing, and I love the relationships between the different characters as well. The pacing was a little bit slow. Sometimes in fantasy that doesn't really bother me, because sometimes you need it for the world building. But in this one, I definitely noticed that it just made me feel a little bit less engaged than I wanted to feel. I definitely had an emotional response to things that were happening, and I definitely felt invested in what happened to the characters. But I don't know, in fantasy, I just want to feel this fear. I want to feel the danger. And I just thought that this was written in a way that I was never really scared for any of the characters, which, I mean, if you read a lot of YA fantasy, you kind of know that barely anything ever happens to any of the characters, but most of the time you still feel the danger and you're still scared for them. And with this one, something about the writing just didn't make me feel that way. The world building was definitely well done, but it's also nothing that really stands out. I do think it's something that we've seen before and it's nothing really special. But as I mentioned in the beginning, I thought there were some refreshing aspects to this. And one of them was that this story really dealt with contraceptives. This rarely ever happens in YA fantasy. Like, there's barely any talk about contraceptives in these kinds of stories. What I enjoyed about this one was not only that, you know, it was kind of mentioned from the beginning and that the contraceptives were there, even though we were in a kind of medieval fantasy setting, but also we actually saw a political discussion about this, about like how some people are not able to afford these contraceptives and are not able to afford feeding one more part in their family. That was so interesting. Like, even in fantasy books where I have seen contraceptives kind of mentioned, there's never a discussion about if you could afford it. It's just kind of there. And I just loved that so much, and I thought it was incredibly refreshing and one of the aspects that I really loved about this book. My least favorite aspect of the story was the romance. If you know me, I really love romantic storylines, and they do tend to be important for me in a story. I'm not mad if there's no romantic storyline, but once they are brought up, I want them to be fleshed out, and this did not happen for me. Now, I think if you're someone who doesn't really enjoy romance, you'll be fine with this novel because it doesn't play a big part, and that's also fine. I just wish that the small parts that we did get were a little bit more fleshed out. Kate and Corwin kind of, you know each other their whole life, and a lot has already happened, and we do, kind of see that. I don't know, I think this might have to do with the writing as well, because I feel like there was tension, like there definitely was tension a lot of the times, but I didn't really feel it. Like, I wanted to be invested in the romance, but I just couldn't. So that definitely fell flat for me, and I was sad about that. But yeah, overall, I think that Onyx and Ivory is a very solid YA fantasy. It's nothing outstanding. It's nothing that I would say is a must read, but if this is a genre that you generally enjoy and you don't really mind to see something you have seen before, then I would definitely recommend it. So yeah, these are all of my thoughts on Onyx and Ivory. I want to know if you're excited for the release of this novel, or if you've already read it. I obviously want to know what you thought about the book, and thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!